Okay. We have tried to do what we can to make your listening experience at least a little bit better than it usually is. Because particularly given it's an afternoon, and we have had some very hot afternoons lately, the environmental factors are not conducive to keep you from going into deep states of meditation. The moment you sit down, you try to go into very deep states of jhana, states that I have never managed to achieve yet in my life. Remarkable. I'm only admiring you, come on. So what we've tried to do is, because you're coming here to listen to Dhamma, not necessarily go into meditation, we'll arrange a separate day for that. So we want to try and make your stay here as comfortable as we can. And so whatever you see around here is really not something that I brought with me. None of this is mine. None of this is something that I earned, because I don't make a living anymore. These are things that generous people among yourselves have donated to the Sambuddha-shasana. Not to me, not to this monastery, but to the Sambuddha-shasana. This all belongs to the Sambuddha-shasana, the Buddha's ministry. So whatever you have donated, today you are making use of it, and hopefully the benefits of that will help you to listen to the Dhamma better, and hopefully try and not go into meditation through the course of the sermon. Because, I understand that we all have very busy lives, right? Through the course of a week, I remember the life that I used to lead, how there was so much that you had to get through in the course of 1 week. How many people you had to satisfy. All connections that you have in your life, someone expects something from you, don't they? Everyone who's connected to you, do they not expect something from you? So there are lots of boxes that you have to tick just to keep going, just so you can stay out of trouble. So when you have to lead your life ticking all these boxes for other people, it can't be easy. Because ticking one box for person A means you're unticking the box for person B. So now it's a balancing act. You're all jugglers, that's what happens. It's like a circus. You have to juggle all these things. So doing that is no easy task, it's no easy feat. And therefore, you seek some kind of recluse in the Dhamma, and you come along and listen to sermons, but as you listen to the sermons, these fires of raga, dvesha, moha, they start to disappear. And then what might happen then is, as you're relaxing, then sleep starts to seep in. But it's such a shame, it's such a pity, because this is the time where you have to stay awake. This is the only key that's going to unlock this riddle of samsara. It's a riddle. It truly is. Any of you watched Maze Runner? It's a movie called The Maze Runner. I haven't had an opportunity to watch it, but those who have tell me that it's kind of like a riddle. So there's a maze in which people are stuck, and they're unable to get out of it because they don't know how they got in there, and they don't know how to get out of it. Until one guy, he takes off one day and decides enough is enough. Someone has to make an effort to get out of here. And then they start making an effort, this guy. Eventually he finds a way out, and he encourages other people in the maze to come with him, but that's not what they're interested in. They just want to make a comfortable stay wherever they are, not necessarily wanting to get out. Because people don't know any different. So, according to the story, I'm informed that very few people actually make their way out, but a lot of them just stay within the maze with no interest of getting out, and then ultimately they end facing tremendous torture and pain and ultimately regretting their choice. So this is what we all have to face. There's a choice that we all have to make. There's a choice we have to make every day. Remember, none of us, well, you should really ask that question of yourself. Why did you come into this world? So this is a rhetoric question. Ask yourselves, why did you come into this world? What is your purpose of being here? Who invited you to be here? Now you're here. Are you here just because? Are you living just because you were born? Or is there a greater purpose to life? It's not good enough to say, I'm here because my parents decided I had to come into this world. Animals are like that. They have no choice. Once they've been brought into this world, they just go by instinct. Whatever instinct dictates. So wake up, eat, sleep, reproduce, and then start of another day and go through the motions, the same cycle every day. And that's just instinct that's driving them. But we humans, we just can't follow instinct like that. There has to be a greater purpose. Because we can all think. We can make choices, intelligent choices. We can act. Because we can choose the consequences that we are prepared to accept. We can choose. But for that, we need to understand what the consequences might be of our actions. And for that, we have the power of intelligent thought. Isn't this how you decide what you're going to do every day? What might the consequences be of my actions? Isn't that how you choose what you decide to do? Between anything. How do you choose to decide where you go on holiday? How do you choose to decide which side of bed you get out of? How do you choose to decide what are you going to have for breakfast, lunch or dinner? You have to have some deciding factor. It can't just be instinct. There's something that helps you determine that. And if you're wise, you're going to go by what the consequences are of your choices. If you're wise, you're going to choose by the consequences that you're going to have to face. And if you're not knowledgeable about what these consequences are, then you're just going to take a blank shot. You're just going to go about feeling in the darkness. Excuse me. And that's quite dangerous. If you're just going to go about walking in the darkness, just trying to feel about where you are, and that's how you're going to make your choices, that's pretty dangerous. This is why you need a philosophy for life. When you have a philosophy for life, now you know with every breath you take, with every moment that passes by, how do you make the right choice? See, isn't that what we use philosophy or religion for? To make the right choices? Isn't that what we use science for? Logical reasoning and things like that? To help us make the right choices? Because ultimately, what is life except for a series of choices? And the consequences of those choices. Karma and vipaka. Isn't that what life is? The choices you make and the consequences of those choices. Right? That is what life is. So it's better to be knowledgeable about what the consequences are of the choices you make so you can make the right choices. Now, if you remember from last week, we talked about ego. Do you remember? And we talked about how it's easy to talk back when someone points out something that's wrong with us, or someone says something that they think is something that we need to work on. It's quite easy to talk back, to say two things in the face of one, always retaliate. But how? That is kind of digging your own grave. And you were given some homework. you remember what the homework was? Do you remember the homework, dude? Oh, you weren't here last week. Okay. What was the homework? Instances where? Instances that you come across in life where you are given an opportunity to fulfill your paramita, your perfections, but you choose to turn them round and kick them on the back and go, no Devadatta, not this time, come back later. Because we talked about how we wouldn't have a Buddha today if there was no Devadatta. How so? Again, it's choices and the consequences of those choices. In the presence of the Devadatta, the Buddha had choices to make, or the Bodhisattva had choices to make. Am I going to be patient, or am I going to fight back? He had a choice to make. When you're an Arahant, you don't have a choice to make. Then there really is no choice. Someone comes and shouts at you. It's not a choice for an Arahant whether I shout back or I just be patient. But for us, everything in life is a choice. Because there are two sides to how our brain works, or how our mind works more than our brains. We can act with Raga, Dvesha, Moha and make the wrong choices. Or we can be Vita Ragi, Vita Dosi, Vita Mohi. Act with wisdom and make the right choices. Every day, every moment that passes by in life, you're faced with these opportunities to make a choice. Whatever choice you make, you have to be prepared to accept the consequences. So Devadattas walk into our life every day, every moment. And now you can choose how you want to act. If you choose wisely, then you are using that opportunity to fulfill your perfections. Dasa Paramita. Because that's what's going to take you to become an Arahant one day. This is why I asked you, are you serious about being an Arahant? Are you serious about Nibbana? If you're serious about Nibbana, then you may have to change the way you act at home, in your workplace, how you conduct yourself. If you're a parent, a mother or a father, and you see your child has not done their homework, now that can be upsetting for a parent. Or they've not attended to the chores at home, not washed their dishes, not made their bed. That can be upsetting to a parent. Now you have a choice to make. Of course, as a parent, you have to be responsible. You have to show your child right from wrong. But you have a choice about whether you do that with anger or you do that simply with compassion. Because if you do it with anger, then that's okay, for as long as you're prepared to accept the consequences. That's okay. If you do it with hate, again, that's okay, for as long as you're prepared to accept the consequences. So really, it's okay to steal. It's okay to kill. Is it not? It's okay to lie. It's okay to backstab. It's okay to shout at people, hit them, do whatever you like, for as long as you're prepared to accept the consequences. But the thing is, people like to do bad things, but they just don't like the consequences. They like to do bad things. They like to do evil and mean things, but they don't like to accept the consequences. But you can't have one and not the other. It doesn't work like that. If you do the deed, then you get the consequences for free. You can't choose not to take it home with you. It just comes with the package. You just can't choose not to. It just comes with the package. So provided you are prepared to accept the consequences, then you can do whatever you like. So this is why last week's homework was, spot opportunities throughout your week where Devadattas walk into your life. These are opportunities for you to fulfill your perfections. For example, you might go home after a busy day at work and you expect the dishes to be done. You expect a meal to be prepared for you either by your husband or your wife. You walk home and you get home, there's no dinner. Where's dinner? No dinner, sorry, I was too busy. Now, Devadatta has just walked into your life. It's not your wife, not your husband. It's just that situation.